Welcome to State Champions Podcast, Season 4. We back in the basement. We're going to have an outstanding season, G. I'm talking about we're going to have a lot of outstanding guests. We're going to have some new segments this year, too. The Coach's Corner, where you're going to get your coaching expertise.
Yeah, expertise.
And I'm going to get some Parlay Pete. We're going to have a segment called Parlay Pete.
Yeah.
I'm going to be giving out some parlays for the year. NFL, I don't really mess too much with college, but we'll do all NFL. But G, how you doing? Are you ready for this season 2?
Come on, man. Season 4, man. I'm good, man. Everything going well. Just trying to make something happen. It's getting close to basketball season, full-fledged high school football season right now. Love what's going on. Obviously, the city's kind of down a little bit. 2 of the top teams have lost a couple games, but we'll see what happens come state playoff time, man. We're looking forward to it.
Man, you looking good. Look like you lost a little weight, man. You been working out over summer?
No, it's all the black. You know what I'm saying? It's all the black.
It's all because it's all black. Hey, man, but on today's show, we talking football.
That's right.
NFL Week 3 is done. We talking about the Lions. We're going to talk about the Cowboys. We're going to talk about Miami put up an epic 70.
A 70 ball.
And we really going to talk about the Chicago Bears. Is it really a dumpster fire in Chicago? Are they really that bad? We'll talk about that. And, of course, we're going to talk about Colorado football. Mm-hmm. And if you talk about Colorado football, you got to talk about who?
Neon,
Dion. Coach Prime.
That's right.
And the hate that these people have for not just Coach Prime, but for black men across the country. I really believe that.
It's really a microcosm for what they feel about us, and it just comes out when you have excellence like that. So, we're going to talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. But then we got to talk about the Michigan State debacle. We're going to bring in the brother that knows about Michigan State. He an insider. Mm-hmm. Curtis Blackwell. Sound mind, sound body. Yeah. He's in the building. He going to talk about the whole situation. D'Antoni. We talking about the Mel Tucker situation. It's going to go crazy. It's going to be a good show, G. You ready?
Ain't no question about it.
Let's drop that intro.
The champ is here. 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 The champ is here.
G, Week 3, we back. It's in the books. Detroit Lions bounce back after a humbling loss, Week 2, in Seattle, with a win over the Atlanta Falcons, 20-6. Mm-hmm. Jared Goff threw for 2 touchdowns. Well, threw for 1, ran for another. What did you see about the Lions in Week 3 what you saw them in Week 2, but you didn't see it in Week 3? What did you see about those guys?
I think the biggest portion was for me. I think defensively, obviously, you can always go with, well, defensively, they did a better job, whatever that means. I think the defensive line got after a little bit. I think the defensive coordinator did a better job kind of attacking the quarterback somewhat. And, they did a great job up front against the run, too. They did a great job up front against the run. And offensively, they didn't try to do too much. Jared Goff, again, man, we could say what we want to. And I said this a couple weeks ago before the season started. He placed a couple footballs in some wonderful, wonderful spots. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over too much, as long as we don't turn the ball over too much, I think they'll do well. But what they needed that grit. They needed a good win. They needed a good showing. Not only did they need to win, they needed a good showing yesterday to keep the fans' interest at a heightened level, and they did that. So we're looking forward to Thursday night. I know people are looking forward to Thursday night to really see what this thing is really going to be on the road against Green Bay.
Well, I'm going to tell you what the Lions showed me. Mm-hmm. Lions showed me what they normally show me. Inconsistency. So
no question.
They won the first night with an undermanned Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then they come back. They're supposed to beat Seattle at home, but they didn't. And so when they didn't beat Seattle, what you think happened?
Well, they came back and then they performed better against, Atlanta. So I think the biggest thing now is that consistency really starts with your mind. That mentally they have to do a better job in their preparation and everything that they do. And I think once they really come up with that championship mindset, and this is new, expectations now, they weren't accustomed to being, favorite on most weekends. So they've got to do a better job when they're expected to win, and they got to do a better job when someone comes in and grabs a hold of their neck first. So that's what I kind of want to see from them. And again, I ain't necessarily a Lions fan, but I kind of like the direction in which they're going.
Really? I'll tell you what, it's a close friend of mine. He said the Lions going to be playing in the Super Bowl in Vegas. I don't believe it. But let's move on. Let's talk about this other supposedly Super Bowl contender. I think you said Dallas can win the NFC East. I think that's what you said.
Yep, they won't. My bad.
But Dallas, the bum Dallas Cowboys, guess what they did? Guess what they did? They went down to Arizona. They was a 12.5-point favorite, and they got beat by Arizona and the backup quarterback, G. So tell me what's going on in Dallas. Is it that injury? Was it that really that bad?
Well, I don't think, obviously the injury, played a part. I think mentally they just weren't ready to play. Obviously, you were talking about a cornerback that wasn't able to play. Diggs is done for the season, but it's the same on Cowboys. And I think leadership is critical. And people want to talk about Dak and now I'm kind of looking at Dak like, man, what are you doing? You done stole the bag. I get it. But I think from a preparation standpoint and the thought process going into a game, we got to dominate each game and we can't worry about who's there, who's not. And you're on the road. You can't overlook anybody because they hadn't done anything. And I think the Cowboys mentality, they think about and they kind of mirror what everybody else is saying in the world. Everybody started talking about the Cowboys. Are they good? They're this, and they're ready to go. And you look up, and they really lay an egg yesterday. And what's so crazy is I was watching the game, and I stopped watching. I said, okay, they're going to win this. And I turned later on.
And they lost.
They lost.
Let's get to it, G. They lost. They terrible because the part of the problem is Dak Prescott. And he's going to resort back to what he's been doing. He's going to start throwing interceptions, and they're going to lose the game.
Bad decision with the
bad decision. So it's safe to say that they're not going to be. Not going to be in the Super Bowl.
No,
so let's add this. Did you see the Miami game? In Denver.
Man.
First things first.
Yes.
70 burger on Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Was it that the Miami Dolphins, can we write them in the Super Bowl, or was it that Denver Broncos are really that bad?
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
I think when you look at Miami, obviously they higher powered, no question about it. But Denver, Sean Payton came in and made a lot of conversation about a lot of people, the new head coach at Denver. And he talked about the previous coach, which is something that I couldn't believe he did it. But he made some statements and he talked about the culture, et cetera, et cetera. But they got 70 hung up on him. And I can't remember watching a football game in the NFL where a team got 70.
Yeah.
And they're good.
It's been a long time.
And Tua, to his defense, you can see the progress. You could really see that he's in rhythm with his receivers. But I just think Denver, there was no fight in them yesterday. After they gave up so many points in the first quarter, I still didn't expect to see 70. So, hats off to Miami, but Denver, I just don't see them doing anything the rest of the year.
All right, we're going to talk about another bad team. Yesterday, the Chicago Bears. Are they really that bad? Is it Justin Fields? Is it the organization? Is it the coaches? Well, one coach decided he was going to leave in the middle of the season. Yeah. He said it was
not
family.
Even the middle.
Yeah, not even the middle.
Yeah.
We 2 games in.
De-coordinated, too.
They're de-coordinated. So are the Chicago Bears really that bad, G?
They're toast. And it's burnt toast. They're done.
The
organization is really, the leadership in the organization is horrible. The coaching staff, and it's the thing. I don't mind. I love seeing a brother quarterbacking, but the leadership, and they continue to get these coaches of European descent, and it's almost like they just kind of, recycling these guys, man. And these guys keep coming in. I watched some games yesterday. I watched the Chargers in Minnesota, and the coaching and the decision making
Oh yeah,
was just
the analytics
deplorable.
is what they call it the analytics.
It was deplorable. So I don't even feel sorry for him. And when the coach gets fired, man, I'm gonna applaud, and I don't want to see anybody lose their job. But the hell with that.
No, I do. I'm gonna tell you. No, I'm gonna tell you, I do. So let's we're gonna talk a little bit about that game. But see, you just mentioned something about how they recycle these particular coaches, and we talking about the white coaches, and they recycle them. And the guy made a decision. I think they were on their own 24.
Stop.
But it was the problem is the coach, but then it's the announcers. And they talked about the analytics, and it's 82% chance that they punt it, that they're going to win the game, and an 89% chance if they got the first down, they're going to win the game. I don't care nothing about that. You can't give them a chance to win the game. Play the game.
Play the game. It's not mad, and it's not. You stop that.
None of that.
But this is the thing. They hold us to a different standard, and I understand because I've also watched games in which they've almost called the black coach or the black quarterback. They told the line and almost called him stupid.
Yeah. They was real close.
As I watched so much ridiculous decision making, I never heard anybody truly question it and say, you know what, that was a dumbass decision. I need somebody to say, you know what?
Live on air, somebody got to say it.
Somebody got to say, hey, man, you know what, we
take the fine.
So, the hell with it. So Chicago, Minnesota, LA, you're gonna get what you deserve.
But I think this leads into our next topic, G.
Yes, sir.
The Colorado Buffaloes.
Yep.
Deion Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going on in Colorado this week. They got their first loss.
Yep. And
I just remember the coach for the other team, Oregon. He's in the locker room. This game is not played in Hollywood. It's played on the field.
Yeah.
And he just went in and this is not going to be about all this here.
YouTube. You can't win games on YouTube.
Yeah, it's not about clips and baits and all of this. So the hate for, and I'm just talking about black men, period.
No question.
It's unbelievable to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Deion losing his first game, so just like you said, they keep on giving these guys a heck of a chance, recycle them. But this is what I think should happen. I think this is what we should do right now.
Yep.
All the coaches, we got a guys in the building who can probably help out with this.
Yeah, he going.
We should send all 5-star receivers. We're gonna send 4 receivers, 5-star, 4 cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna send 3 linebackers,
okay,
5 offensive linemen, 5 defensive linemen. We're gonna send them all to Colorado, all the black kids. We're not gonna send them to Alabama no more. We ain't gonna send them out to Oregon no more.
Okay.
We're gonna send them to Deion. And because realistically speaking, he was outman.
No,
the Oregon game, he was outman.
Are you nuts? Yes.
He's outman. And probably this week is probably gonna be outman against USC. But my point in saying is
they're gonna be at home. I'm gonna see.
What if we could start to just trickle our way through, call a few people.
Mm-hmm.
You get my man Curtis Blackwell, get him to call a few people. We're gonna send a lot of the top guys out to Deion. But I'm gonna tell you secretly, it's some of the people, I call it the Floyd Mayweather syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are tuning in to see him win.
What you mean?
Well, a lot of people tuning in to see him lose.
Well, a lot of them look like Deion.
That's my problem.
That's what I don't. So you slave master brothers that have gone on Facebook and say, man, that's what he get and all this. Shame on you. Shame on you. You should be ashamed of your damn self. And I've been watching you. I ain't got to call you out. You're going to go to bed tonight with your wife, with your girlfriend, or somebody else. I hope it ain't somebody else. But I'm going to just tell you this. You figure this out, man. For you to approve and applaud a black man losing.
Absolutely.
And root for him to lose.
The hate is real.
The hate is real. I understand that. But shame on you, man. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, man. And your sons and your daughters ought to be ashamed that you their father. But again, we're going to talk about that another time. Because we got a hell of a question going for my man, Curtis Blackwell II, too. It's really just about that.
So we may as well, the introduction. Gee, you want to do the introduction for Curtis Blackwell? Sound mind, sound body.
Well, I want you to think about this.
Let's talk about Curtis Blackwell. We're going to talk about the whole thing, Michigan State, where he's from. Organization that he started. Let's get it going, G. Let's talk to Curtis Blackwell. Do the intro for Curtis Blackwell.
Well, I think, for the people in the city and people around this country who don't really know him, a lot of people around the country do. But the one thing I will say is this. Curtis Blackwell II is in the building tonight. But we're talking about a man who, First and foremost, he'll tell you he's a father. He's a husband, a hell of a son. But King alum, let's get that first. Detroit Martin Luther King Jr. Senior High School, King alum, HBCU grad, hell of a football player in his day as well, obviously. What he's done, though, within this community, what he's done around this country to help these young men get their recognition for playing football, for being hell of a student athletes. He started Sound Mind, Sound Body. It wasn't somebody else that started something. He piggybacked off of it. He's currently also a recruiting coordinator, and he's got a recruiting service for the NCAA. But what he's doing every day, and people don't know, they talk about Sound Mind, Sound Body. They think one thing, okay, he's getting kids in college, but he's starting off at an early age with the young men, the young women. He did a great program for the cheerleaders this year. None other, King graduate, Detroit guy, born and raised, the one and only Curtis Blackwell II, man. Welcome to the building, brother.
Thanks for having me, Big Dog.
Oh man, Curtis, man, I heard a lot about you, good brother. But when I hear sound my sound body, it just, when I think about that, kind of explain to the people, where did you come up with that name right there? Where did you come up with that, and why?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say thanks for having me to be a part of this platform. Any chance I get to tell the story of what's going on in the community and what we're doing, I always look forward to that. But most importantly, I got to pay homage to you all. You guys are the OGs. You laid the groundwork and the foundation for an individual like me to come behind you all. And I think that's really the most important part of what it all is something that we got to carry on. Like, you guys took, the baton to a certain level, and then it inspired me to say, hey, I want to ensure that Detroit is something that our community can be vibrant, relevant, and significant. And it was because of what you all did. You made Detroit something in your era, and I wanted to do something as well because I benefited from what you all had did, and so that was a great part of where Sound Mind, Sound Body came from. But graduating from college, I wasn't a big time recruit, but I had worked my tail off to just make it to the next level. And me and my classmates, we realized, had it not been for our coaches, we would not have arrived on a college campus. And so I really attribute everything I had to my coaches. And I felt a strong sense of obligation to come back home and do something in my community that can ensure that individuals like me who were great athletes had the other things, because in Detroit, it wasn't about athleticism. The best guys didn't go to college.
Oh, absolutely.
So Sound Mind, Sound Body really became something, whereas if you could leverage athletics to make kids listen a little more, go to class, take the SAT and get some exposure, then you had ensured that those kids who currently didn't get the other things, they would go to the next level. And so we use athletics as that vehicle. So in every program we do, we always try to impose academics and books before ball. So anytime you would come to a Sound Mind, Sound Body program, kids would tell you, like, man, we got to sit in the auditorium. We got to listen to this life skills, academic stuff. And then you could progress to the athletic field. And so that became our model. And then within that, college coaches started coming, delivering those life skills and academic, lessons. And it became sort of a recruiting forum, but it was all unintentional. It was never, it was like, if I was really thinking of something that could be for recruiting, me and all of my classmates who started Sound Mind, Sound Body, because it wasn't just me, we would have called it like the Michigan Showcase or the football platform. It would never be something that's you call Sound Mind, Sound Body. Sound Mind, Sound Body was really just something to help kids understand the balance between academics, athletics, and life skills. And it just really morphed into a whole nother thing. And so it was a bit of serendipity, in terms of how it occurred. Really? And then from there, it just became this recruiting thing. But they was like, oh, it's Sound Mind, Sound Body. But one wasn't really the intention for the other. Recruiting and Sound Mind, Sound Body initially didn't go together. It was all organic in a sense. And so to think that we're here and people associate recruiting with it is just a testament to God, because I've just been following the pathway that has been laid.
Wow. I just learned something. Kurt, that is crazy, because and again, obviously I know you, you've done some great things with all the programs at Martin Luther King and obviously around the city. But I thought that when you started this this was strictly about the recruiting. So you really just started off saying, you know what, these young brothers and sisters need some help, and they need to understand what this thing is really about. And like you said, it ballooned into something that's even more special.
Yes, sir.
Man, kudos to you, man.
Yep.
That's dope. I didn't know that.
And I also want to say, like, you know, my college classmate Siraj and my boy C's, and then Deion Johnson, Phil Sherman, my sister Turquoise. Like, this is not a Curtis Blackwell deal. Like, you know, we started this organically. Like, you know, Damaris Johnson, we had Karan Riley, Anthony Adams, Gerald McBurrows. Like, it was all of us who started this together collectively. It wasn't a Curtis Blackwell deal.
Wow.
It was like all of us from King kind of just said, like, hey, we just gonna do something. We just gonna do something. We didn't have a 5. We just did. I was 25 when we started that.
Wow.
25
Really?
years old. Yeah. Next year it'll be like the 20th year anniversary. We're gonna do a big celebration at the NFL draft for 20 years in the game. But we had Gerald McBurrows in
Atlanta
the league.
Falcons.
Karan Riley was in the league. Anthony Adams was in the league. Ron Johnson was in the league. So King had 4 guys in the NFL at one time.
One graduating class.
Yeah. so we all and G-Mac and Anthony Adams wrote personal checks to me. Like, I didn't even have a 501c3. They wrote a personal check, and we just did something. And then this is what you see now, but originally it was just organic football camp, and it just blew into this.
Wow.
Yeah, that is crazy.
No, this is crazy.
Go ahead,
Man.
go ahead,
That is crazy, because the amazing thing about this, just quickly, is one of my mother's greatest friends in the world, Barbara Ash. We gotta, Kurt and I have to talk about her quickly. Is like a mom to him as well. That's the crazy thing about it. And my other mother, Barbara, used to say to me about 15 years ago, she said, you know what? You don't know Harlem's friend. His name is Curtis, and he's doing some great things. And for what y'all are doing, y'all need to connect. She said this to me 15, 17 years ago. And to watch what you're doing now, brother, hey, my hat's off to you, man. And for everybody that was in your graduating class, and it's crazy. Obviously, Raph and I graduated together. Obviously, young kids before we had driver's license, best friends. And to see what y'all are doing, man, that's magical, man. The East Side needs to be proud of y'all. The city needs to be proud of y'all. We proud of you too, though.
Man, and I'm going to tell you, because I was sitting here, I was like, I wonder who else started this with them. And I'm glad you gave a shout out to those people, because it takes more than one person
Absolutely
to make some impact. I was talking to the kids today in the driver's ed program, and I was explaining to them, I said, y'all have to understand, you can do a lot by yourself, but you can do a whole lot more when you got a group of people with you. Sound mind, sound body, same mindset to go in a direction. And like you said, it was morphed into something else. But more important, I think what you said, I think was truly the testament. It was truly a blessing. Y'all had no idea it was going to go to that.
Yeah.
And then now it turns to this. And I heard the name for many, many years, but I had never met the brother until the night. But it's really, truly a great situation for you, the people that you're touching on a consistent basis, the young people, and getting them to understand that, hey, this is bigger than the sport in itself. You got to move forward. You got to understand, you got to get those books, because at the end of the day, college coaches, they get tired of you coming on campus from Detroit and you flunking out. You got to come back home with your mom. So testament to you, to your organization.
Yes.
Keep up the good things. Gee, I know you got some more questions. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. Curtis is here. Curtis Blackwell II is here because, we talked about the situation up in Michigan State. And everybody knows about that. And everybody has had a conversation about it and thought about it, but Curtis was at Michigan State University. He was an employee there, and he had done a great job. And we were so proud of him to see what he was doing, because he was about to take the college world by storm via his position. And now we're looking at a situation where, something has happened with the head football coach there now, and they've announced his termination. Kurt, what's your thought about Michigan State and how, this situation kind of ties into your situation, and what are the similarities, and what's your thought process behind this whole thing?
Specifically on Michigan State, or in the situation period, which part of you want us to touch on first?
I want you to touch on first, specifically the situation itself that's going on right now, and how it kind of ties into your situation as well, because a lot of people don't know your situation, and you can touch on that briefly. And I want them to know, because you were hired at Michigan State University as the recruiting coordinator. And some of our fans don't know it. Some of our family don't know it. And they need to know exactly what went on and how this situation is kind of similar to what went on with you.
I think what most people don't understand is that, and this is when I went through my whole situation with Michigan State, most people didn't understand my title at Michigan State was similarly related to my position in running Sound Mind, Sound Body, in that we use athletics as a vehicle to help young people progress to the next level. And so my title on my business card was Director of College Advancement. Okay, Director of College Advancement. And so my title was to help young people transition to and through Michigan State, meaning helping them get to college, but then helping them graduate once they got college.
Wasn't just about football. Director of College Advancement doesn't specify sports at all.
So they created a position specifically for me that allowed the university and the football department to leverage the platform of Sound Mind, Sound Body to recruit the city, but also maintain relationships with student athletes once they arrived on campus, to be that mentor figure that I was providing for young people in Sound Mind, Sound Body, but on the campus of Michigan State in East Lansing. And what was unique about that was that I was still running the foundation, but holding a position at Michigan State at the same time. And so that ruffled a couple feathers upon arrival on the campus, because here I am,
a young black guy. Yeah. Let's call it what it is.
So I'm doing what I'm doing, but at the same time, I'm running the biggest camp in America.
Yes.
I mean, we had the first Adidas deal. We had the only camp where college coaches were coming. And then at the time, keep in mind, Michigan State had the greatest 3-4 year winning span in the history of Michigan State University. Was when I was a part of it. Like no other era of Michigan State football can equate to what occurred when that was going on. So obviously people were saying like, well, you giving Blackwell credit for this, or and they were kind of like uncomfortable with what was going on. I mean, even to the point where the Big Ten Network was interviewing me on practice days, and they were saying like, why are they interviewing Blackwell? And I could just feel the tension at times, but you knew what it was. I mean, I went to school at Hampton at Black College. I went to school at Baylor, in Waco, Texas. So I could tell the difference from love and hate.
Oh yeah.
Because I was in both environments. But when everything transpired with the whole sexual assault charges and allegations against the student athletes, it gave them a reason to kind of just say, oh yeah, Blackwell, I told y'all.
Scapegoat.
And so
somebody had to be a scapegoat.
At that point, it went from one extreme to the next. It was like, okay, here I am recruiting, I'm helping young people out, but now allegations occur, and they were ready to have a dumpster. It was a dumpster fire, on Blackwell. Mm-hmm. And that's the same similar situation I see with Mel Tucker. Good, bad, or indifferent with Mel Tucker, I feel like, it was no benefit of the doubt that was given to him. It was like, hey, you know what? This guy is wrong. Even though you could see something with this situation doesn't even seem right. It don't matter, because he's the highest paid coach, and people are looking at for a way to, in my personal opinion, to just throw him to the wolves. Same way with Deion Sanders. Okay. Something is going well, they waiting to see him fall. And so that's the part of the situation that you really learn from, is that even though it may feel good, to be succeeding, you always one not mistake, not
bad
mishap. No, ain't even that. Allegation away.
Damn.
You one allegation away from being back to where you are. And it's something like they said, I was at Baylor, and I was getting my suit, and I had got my master's degree. And so I'm walking out from just getting my master's degree. And I mean, on my way to graduation, I get my suit tapered, and so it's like, this guy sitting outside the alteration store. He said, young brother, what's going on? I said, what's up? He said, oh, what you got going on? I said, man, I'm going to my graduation. I'm getting my master's degree. He said, where you from? From Detroit. He said, you know what they call a brother with a master's degree? I said, no, what? He said, a nigga.
A nigga.
Dang.
Now I'm 23 years old. Wow. And I'm thinking like I did something. And I never forgot that, because no matter what happened, I remember when Kobe Bryant went through his situation, and he'd go. But when he went through his situation in Colorado,
Denver.
They
come on, man.
They railroaded his ass, and we forgot what happened. But so you always one allegation away, not a mistake, not a mishap, but an allegation away as a brother. But you could see You know, whether it's Lane Kiffin, whether it's Steve Sarkisian, the head coach at Texas, these white coaches, they go through things all the time and they bounce back. You see, Coach D'Antonio went through all the situation. He bounced right back. He never left. So it's like we don't even have to be convicted. We just receive allegations. And that's what I want to make sure that everybody is like, I ain't even here to talk about Mel Tucker in that regard. It's just an allegation. Yep. So when my situation occurred, what most people don't understand, I was arrested on campus in broad daylight.
Talk about
for, you know, something that was a potential allegation. And this is an interview. There's no reason why you have to arrest me
for an interview.
Right. Yeah. To interview me about a potential, you know, sexual assault because I wasn't
you wasn't the person that they was accusing of sexual assault. Right. You were just, I saw that, not to cut you off real quick. Let me add this because I want the viewers to get some context. I watched that interview with, it was a Carolyn Clifford, and you were being interviewed about the allegations about some young men that you mentored,
and they put some cuffs on,
and they put handcuffs on you. You were not the person that they were questioning about the sexual assault. You were just, they were asking some questions about the young men, and your story was that, you know, you talked to them, but they didn't never tell you nothing about no sexual assault,
right?
And they said you were being basically defiant, and you wasn't being forthcoming with all the truthful information, and that's why they arrested you. But go ahead. I wanted people to hear that.
No, and like I say, this is, you know, part of the reason when I went through the lawsuit, you know, it was all about me standing up for myself, for my kids, you know, for my legacy within my family. Like, and I know, you know, it's a long shot when you suing a major institution that you can win. But I wanted my story to be told, and I didn't want to be hold. Like, they weren't just gonna hold me. Like, you know, I'm Charles and Houston Whittier, and I know you got to fight these individuals for paper in the courtroom. And I learned a lot from that situation. But the most important part about the whole situation was that when you get put in a situation where they don't give you nothing, you know, but to tell you like, hey, you accept what we're giving you in terms of like, you know, this, you know, like, hey, they gonna tell you like, hey, we're not gonna renew your contract, and you walk away. I said I had to stand up and tell my story, because if I accept it, when we had this lawsuit, they offered me, you know, some settlements. Yep. But I said, my story is
bigger than that.
It's bigger than anything. Damn. And so when G Ward said, dog, you can come over, I said, I'll talk about anything. This is the reason why I didn't accept the settlement, because if you're not paying me 7 figures, you know, something worth, and then if you want me to issue a statement along with the settlement, fuck that settlement.
Yeah.
There you go.
Know, excuse my language, but it's like, I'm not taking it. I'm not settling for shit.
There you go.
This is my story. And so when everything occurred, you know, it became a situation was, here I am working with young brothers, and if you work on a college campus, especially Michigan State, now I went to Hampton University. Okay. Michigan State similarly rivals a black college environment. If you know anything about that.
Party, they're gonna kick
so
it.
We're winning at an unprecedented level at Michigan State. And the partying and the environment was off the hook. Now here I am working in the recruiting side of things. Things that happen on that campus on a regular basis, it was like another day at the job. So when everything transpired, the police come to me, talking to me. I'm kicking it because I'm thinking like, dog, this is a regular day in the office. Like, we won the Big Ten champ, the Rose Bowl. We beat Michigan with that was no different in terms of situations with the players and all type of things that were occurring. And I was kind of caught off guard when everything shifted, because I'm thinking like, now y'all know what goes on in this campus. Why are y'all asking me these questions? And I'm just being, you know, as my best to tell you all what I should have done. Looking back in hindsight, I said, hey, I should have talked with an attorney.
Yeah, you go.
I should have never talked to them alone. And I'm thinking like, this is something that happens all the time. But when the players got into the situation, I was doing what I always do. I told them like, hey man, I'm talking to Donnie and DJ and Austin and all the players, not just them. And when they did their report, they made it seem like I only talked to 3 guys on the whole team. I said, I talked to like 20 guys. If it's a party, I'm like, man, what the fuck was y'all doing last night?
Come on, man.
Now, and I tell the kids, I said, don't no kid, because all the kids call me Coach Blackwell. They don't call me Kurt. Like, any kid know me, like I'm old school with all my stuff. They call me Coach Blackwell, even though I'm relatable and I did what I did.
Younger,
when the situation came, I told the kids, I said, what's going on? I said, y'all. They said, no, we ain't do nothing. I said, but it wasn't like that. It was a situation where I'm asking, I said, what happened? I heard y'all had a party. I said, man, Coach, man, I ain't do shit. No kid ever came to me and said, Coach Blackwell, last night I got my dick sucked. No kid ever said we was running the train on a chick, but we didn't go into that type of conversation with kids.
There you go.
So I wanted to make that clear. Like, it was never a sexual conversation. And I just said, like, it's just like me growing up on Rochelle and Chalmers where I grew up at. If I see somebody coming from behind that house, I don't say, what was you doing back there? I say, stay the fuck from over there.
There you go.
That's all.
And that's how we talk to kids without talking to them.
Come on, man. Come on.
And so when the police had this conversation, as I started telling them these types of things, they said, oh, hold up. You got to know these kids. You got to know more. I was like, no, what? I don't know anything. I said, yeah, I heard it was a party. I heard, that the kids was wilding, but this was a regular day at the office. And I told them to chill out. Make sure y'all stay away from that. But this was no different in my mind than any of. Now, fast forward to a month later, I find out that party that I thought was just another day was something totally different. So now I'm sitting here thinking like, dang, this is something totally different. And now I'm at the center of all of this. And I become like the person who, right? And that's how I was. But it wasn't a
Public
situation
enemy number one.
that occurred.
So I want you to think about this. And I really, listen, on our flyer and our producer, our guy, Quincy Smith, does such a great job. I told him I wanted a picture of King Kong on the flyer when he was holding that woman, man. I saw that movie when I was a kid, King Kong, and he was holding that white woman when I was a kid, and it left a great impression on me. And I said I wanted that on the flyer, and I understood the controversy that it may bring, all of that. But my question to you is this, and I thought about it. I'm sitting there, I'm working today. I said, how many conversations have you had? And you have, man, we got players all over this country now because of you. And all the things you're doing in these coaches, they doing a hell of a job in Detroit. How many times do you have a conversation to these black boys, man, and say, look, you better watch out. You cannot. I know you may want to, because I know daddy's little girl coming at you. How many times do you have a conversation and say, you know what, man, better leave these white girls alone? Because now we're looking at a situation where this Mel Tucker situation, your situation ultimately boils down to there's nothing you did. There's nothing for your wife to be ashamed of, and you can't go to the family dinners and they looking at you crazy. It's about someone else. It's about 3 young men that were vindicated, though. And nobody talks about that. But here we go again. Mel Tucker situation. And this is why we're here. In my mind, this could set us back 50, 60 years. Because here we go. It's an allegation that was made. And now this man in the public eye is guilty. How often do you have this conversation with these boys before they go to the university, before they hit the campus? How often do you say, hey, man, look here, you got to watch out? And I've had white coaches, so I don't want nobody saying nothing to me about this. I've had white coaches say to me about some players that I've had say, man, he done got on campus. Man, he love these white girls from white men. So what I'm saying to you is, how often do you have these conversations with these boys say, man, you better watch what you're doing because they coming, and sometimes this thing ain't gonna end right. How often do you have these conversations with them?
We have a lot of guest speakers that work with the young men from E.T., Eric Thomas, to my partner, Raphael Johnson. We have all type of presentations where we go over that in the sound mind aspect of what we're doing. And I think a lot of times it's hard to replicate that what you feel, because when you're in the city of Detroit, you don't know what it's like to be on a campus. Nope. You just don't. It's just hard to replicate that environment if you've never been there. Like, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And that's why I say, if you know, you know. But like, I could talk to you about something right now, on Plainview, right where we sitting at. But then when you get to Ann Arbor, it's a whole nother scenario.
Ball game. It's a different ball game.
So why I say, is important. And that's why I thought what we were working on at Michigan State was so critical, because you need somebody there that can talk to the kids in real time while it's happening, and that was the part that hurt me the most about, the Michigan State situation, because I said, man, Mel Tucker, who, because people thought like I had beef with Mel Tucker because I'm at Michigan. I was from Michigan State and now he's the coach. I said, man, that's a brother. If you're recruiting a kid from Detroit, I'm not going to tell tell the Gates, Mel hit me up. He said, Black, man, I want to recruit Gates. But Lil Gates said, hey, man, if y'all ain't rocking with Coach Blackwell, I'm not going to Michigan. And so Gates, T. White, his dad, we all family. And I said, look, Mel, we talked. I said, man, listen, man, I don't got nothing against you. I want to see you win.
Come on.
I said, what happened didn't have anything to do with you. So and I'm not sending kids to Michigan State, but I'm not stopping anybody from there. And I definitely wouldn't tell Antonio, because if this is the best fit for him, I want him to be where it's good.
Man.
And so I want to see Mel do good. But what hurts the most, like you said, it's setting us back.
Come on,
all of us, because it's for the culture. It's for the culture. It's for the culture of black leaders, black coaches, that we can set a precedent that we could be the number one, not the best winning coach, not the best coach, but the highest paid coach. And they looking for a reason not to pay us at all at the given times.
I want to go.
That's what hurts the most.
I want to rewind a little bit, because I want to ask this question, and it goes to my whole Deion point. And like you said, you wasn't going to stop no kids from going up there. But knowing the situation, this is me, because I'm thinking about now you're not the guy on campus. Mm-hmm. What they did to you, just a simple allegation of what they did to the other young men. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, this place, it ain't, in my mind, it's not about Mel Tucker. Mm-hmm. It's about this place. Mm-hmm. It's about this place. And how do we then, you say, well, we're going to send some kids up there, or we're not going to stop them. I think this is where I want to go with. This is why we should send our kids to people who have a you on campus. Mm-hmm. And my point is the Deion Sanders. Mm-hmm. I don't know everybody that he has on campus with him, but I believe Deion, when he's sitting and talking to him, he's he's an older version of you, me and George, all in the same thing. And he's talking to him, hey boy, listen, understand where we at. We in Colorado. Mm-hmm. We not going to be around here doing all this crazy stuff. So can we start a pipeline to some coaches? Mm-hmm. Do y'all got sound mind, sound body? Got a list the black coaches in the country? We can send all.
We got all that.
Y'all got all that too.
We got all that.
So I guess it was more of a statement.
Yeah, no, and I think honestly, what I learned through my situation that I try to educate our young people and our parents on, and our high school coaches on, is not about the coaches. It's about the support system around. And so when you go on a college campus, if allegations are brought against you, the coach now gets put in a position where he has to recuse himself.
What you talking about?
So now you want to know, do you have attorneys on campus that they can go to? Because what happens when allegations go, see, what people don't realize is those student athletes have nobody to turn to, because you don't have the resources. If you're little Johnny from St. Louis or from Memphis and you at Michigan State on campus, you get allegations brought against you. It's you against the institution and the police department and that little girl's rich daddy and their attorneys. Yeah. So now if everybody cuts you off, who does that young man turn to? Because at that point, if you're Deion Sanders or anybody else, you're an employee of the university, and they're going to tell you what? You cannot touch this. Mm-hmm. And so you got to remove yourself. So what we need to know is, if I send my son, my player, my mentee to your campus, what resources are available in the instance that allegations are brought forth where this young man has something that they can provide for him. That's what our kids need to know, and our parents need to know, and our high school coaches need to know, so that question can be asked on this recruiting visit instead of asking about the NIL dollars.
So here's the funniest thing you said that, because I don't know if you know, Brother Kurt, 1988, I left Cooley High School, went to Boise State University, Boise, Idaho, in 1988. Mm-hmm. My family, I was the first boy in our family to go to college, period, point blank. Mm-hmm. So those are the things I started to think about. But of course, nothing happened. But I always tell the kids now that's coming out, you need to ask other questions about that support system that you're talking about. Yep. What do y'all have in place for me in terms of, what if I get hungry and I'm 3,000 miles away? Yep. Who's going to help me if one night I get into a situation? I was just there, but I wasn't the actual person. And to your point, so it sounds like, gee, we need to, can you get us a couple jobs on the campus? Because man, listen, I need a gig, because this is absolutely my whole concept of talking to young people. I'd be like, yo, you won't be able to say I didn't tell you so. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm there and I talk to the kids, especially when I get all those boys, and it could be girls too in my group, when I'm talking to them boys, I'm like, hey, when you get to that college campus, you are not in Detroit. Yeah. You're going to run across somebody's dorm room. They're going to have their money, their keys. You don't have to steal, man. They're going to give it to you because you're an athlete. Yeah. But they, like you said, They need that in real time. And I always tell the kids, I say, understand, I won't be there, but if I can get you to stop and pause just to think about it and say, dang, coach did tell me that. Coach did say don't do this. That's what we need. But in real time, it need to be more brothers like yourself, myself, George, on campuses. We need to start a pack. We need to call Dion. Dion got any black guys on the staff, man?
Well, guess what? The one thing I do know about Kurt, he gonna be down there in a minute. If he ain't been in Boulder, he go. Hey,
going to Boulder, baby.
Man, listen, man.
Hey, man, can we go to Boulder?
Kurt, listen, man. The NFL. I want you to understand this. This is one of it's kind of all falling in line perfectly. They just came out with a very crazy stat. The city of Detroit has more players in the NFL than anybody. It's tied with somebody else, but it was tied with IMG. Now, I want you to think about this. Those players ain't from Bradenton or Florida, whatever. They got them in there. Right. So what I'm telling you is, man, look here. His greatness don't minimize ours.
Yeah,
it's a bad dude we got right here, right? So what these coaches in the high school level and what SMSB has done has been crazy. But I want to think about this. I want y'all to understand this because we talk about Michigan State. Let's talk about it, and we ain't afraid of it. Is it safe to say that Mark D'Antonio?
I was about that, man. You stealing my question. Go ahead, man.
Hey, man. Go ahead. You just lying. You just want to make it sound good.
No. The question was, I was about to ask about D'Antonio. Is he going to be the next person?
Well, I'm going to ask something deeper.
Okay, go ahead.
They ain't going to make him the next coach. But is it safe to say that he was behind the scenes kind of stirring the pot up a little bit during this whole situation with Mel Tucker? Because the one thing I do know is that there was some resentment for everything that Mark D'Antoni had done, and he's been elected into the College Football Hall of Fame because of what, I ain't gonna lie to nobody, because of what a Detroit King graduate had helped him do. And now that Mel Tucker was there and what he did, he defeated Michigan twice. See, people are talking bad about it. I'm thinking like, wait a minute now. This brother did some wonderful things up there. Is it safe to say, or do you think he had any involvement behind the scenes with everything that's going on with Mel Tucker right now from a negative standpoint?
You know, I mean, me personally, I don't think Coach Coach D had anything negative to do with that. Just me. And I tell people all the time, I said, man, like Coach D, man, he helped me out a lot because one, he believed in me, somebody from the city of Detroit, to give me an opportunity to come there. As much as we say it all the time, like you need someone to give you an opportunity. We all need a chance. Yeah. Somebody got to give you a chance. And he gave me a shot. And he allowed me to really do my thing on that level. Mm-hmm. And that provided hope and inspiration to other people all around America. Wow. I think the situation that occurred was when shit got thick, he had to choose his career and his legacy over me, which, that's just how that's how the cookie crumbles. But overall, but at the same time, when I came to it, I had to pick my legacy and I had to go for his ass. Yeah. That's why I fought against him. But I never could see him being a malicious guy trying to see Mel Tucker, not succeed or that. But what I thought was the double standard was that everybody knew all the things that were happening and they allowed his watch. They allowed him to stay associated. I thought that the thing they might have done is say, hey, let's sever complete ties with everything that has occurred because it's still some information that hasn't been fully disclosed, and they know about it, but they allowed him to still be around. And now here we are within this situation again, and everyone's acting as if everything is all forgotten. And so I just said, like, that's the double standard that we live within. No, because because they know this stuff came out in my depositions. This came out and is fully transparent of what's going on. And so for them to be comfortable with that as an administration is mind blowing. But hey, that's not anything to do with Coach D. That's the university.
No, see what that is. I'm gonna tell you what that is. Come on, point blank. Come on, man. That's the complexion for the connection. That's all that is, brother. That's the complexion for the connection. Gee, you got any more questions? Because I know Brother Blackwell, he's a busy man. He came on his show because he got to get out of town.
He got to get moving. He got a lot of things he got to do. We tell you what, man. You know what, Kurt? We appreciate the love, man, because you ain't had to do this. You ain't had to come on. And you didn't have to come on to be so transparent. And we appreciate the love. But I tell you what we are going to do. You're going to be back on the show. And we got some things that we got to talk about from the high school perspective what's going on in the city of Detroit, what's going on inside our households, and what's going on because you are the face of football pretty much in this city. Right? Hey, believe it or not, you got your beer lined up. You might as well say, you're the face of football. We got to talk about what's going on in Little League football and what's going on that can help these young people inside these households and inside these high schools and how we can make this thing even greater than what it is right now. So we welcome you back, man. We can't wait to see you again.
I thank you all for what you're doing and having me here. And I just say everything is for the city, and everything that Sound Mind, Sound Body is all about is about making sure Detroit stays relevant. And I think that a lot of people lose sight of that. Like, if it's not this podcast, if it's not you all pouring back into the community from which you benefited from, then what will be left? You know, so everybody can talk about what's not happening, but let's just focus on what is happening.
And the people that's helping out.
So like everything is like, you can complain about what you don't have, but be thankful for what you do got. So thank God we got, G Ward. Thank God we got this podcast. Thank God Sound Mind is something that can provide hope and inspiration to young people to say, like, there's a platform versus us feeling like we got to go to IMG to get what we can get here in the D. Ooh. And that's a whole nother situation for a later conversation. But I want to make sure that we clear on it's all about Detroit and making sure Detroit is relevant, because in the 80s, it was that way. In the 90s, it's that way. Man. But in 2023, I can't say the same. Ooh. So that's why we got to keep on keeping on. Thank you.
Kurt Blackwell. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Curtis Blackwell in a second, man.
Season 4, we back in the basement. Drop the intro. We out of here, baby. Next time.
The champ is here. The champ is here.